There is only one football.com.
There is only one football!
To show you what's happening right here, right now in the studio, because we got this beautiful shirts that we're showing with Frothy right now, guys. Frothy's back with me. Frothy, what's happening with these shirts, mate? Can you tell me what's happening right now?
Shut up, let me talk. Now,
bloody
listen,
hell, mate.
We have these great tops here.
Yes.
Now, it's a bit of a 2-minute show tonight, I believe. So
Yes.
we're back in town, but we'll be
We are.
officially back in town on
That's right,
Monday
yep,
with
yep,
some
yep,
major announcements and start again. Announcements.
Yes.
Can you spell announcements? Can you?
Announcements.
Can you spell that?
I can't spell
Well,
it all.
leave it for next time. Now, let's go through the tops. Now,
That's
these
right. Yep,
tops,
yep.
well, if you were born 400 years ago, you'd know about these tops. So we've got the great St George here, I believe.
No, Brisbane Lions,
Sorry
mate.
about that. That's Brisbane Lions there.
Brizzy Lions, mate.
And we got South Melbourne Hellas there.
No, Fitzroy United, you're telling me, mate. Fitzroy United.
This one's Inter Monaro, is it?
Into Monaro.
No, that's St George Budapest.
St. George, yes, the Hungarians,
and,
the Hungarians,
and over
mate.
to my right, which is your right as well. Are we still
Yes,
on?
we're still on,
We're
of
still
course,
on?
we're still on,
Well,
mate.
over
Yes.
here, we got the great Sydney Olympic. And I know the cat has probably ordered a couple of
Oh,
those.
he's got a couple of hundred, mate.
Well, I'll tell you why he's ordered a couple. I had a chat with Peter Raskopoulos during the week.
Oh, he hates his guts.
And he said to me, Peter Catholos, a cat, has ordered two because his gut's so bloody big, he needs two jumpers to make
Really?
one. So, well, look, that's only a joke, cat.
Oh, my God, mate.
Well, look, also, Canberra, what's this? Canberra City.
Canberra City. You know who coached them?
Yes.
In 1977?
Frank Garrock, wasn't
Johnny
it?
Warren.
Johnny Warren.
We're laughing, mate, everywhere.
I told you so, Johnny Warren said. I doubt we'll sell many because how many supporters did they have? That's beside the point. Also, we got Hokoa up there.
That's
great,
right, of course.
Brazilian heritage, are they?
Brasilia, well, yeah, a lot of them escaped to Brazil.
We'll leave it at that. And the great Marconi.
Marconi.
And let's go through them. Great quality.
Of course.
They fit nicely. They are cheap. You know what? They're too bloody cheap.
$75.
$75 is not even $80.
Plus postage and handling.
Plus postage and handling, and our great friend with David Ben and
Yes.
Arrow Sport.
Arrow Sport together.
Yes,
There is only, and then guys, you can buy them on. There is only
Well,
one
you keep
football.
going. I'll play the great South Melbourne tune.
There is only one football where you can get it from. There is only one
There's only one
football.com
football,
in
yes,
conjunction with Arrow Sport. You can also buy fantastic
Yes,
kits for your teams as well
yes.
at Arrow Sport, and they're working together to bring you these fantastic
Yes, they are,
1977
Are we still on?
Phillips
Check 1,
Lee.
2.
Of course,
Check-
you're bloody
Sorry
on,
about
Frothy.
that, yep.
And of course, guys, 1977.
Yes,
These shirts are fantastic. You've got the other ones at $150, which are the
Well,
rigid gigs, $150,
yes,
and then
but,
you've got the sublimated ones
yes.
at $75, guys. So yes.
Yes. And can I just say, I
Yes.
suppose it's not appropriate to say this, but my team had a win on the weekend.
Yes, they did.
Well, not on the weekend, a couple of days ago. So they're flying, and I tell you what, it's pretty much it. Now we're going to sing a song just to.
Well, I
finish
can't.
the-
We can't. We
the
can't
short
actually.
show
We
tonight.
can't actually sing a song tonight
No,
because
well,
we're just
doesn't
doing
matter.
the. We're just doing the show tonight. That's
we're
all.
just advertising the jumpers here.
That's
and,
right, guys. But where do you get them from? There is only one football.
That's the one there. And,
So, guys, thank you, guys. Get these fantastic shirts right now because you will never find them. Good night, guys. Thank you for joining us. See you in a couple of days' time.
Yes, a couple
Thanks,
of
guys.
days,
Get on
and we'll
Arrow
see 'em on
Sport.
Monday, you know.
Arrow Sport. There's only one
We'll
football.com.
probably have Paul Wade on
Thank you,
Monday, I
guys.
believe.
See ya. Bye-bye.
There's
Thank
going to
you.
be summer we're going to have.
That's it. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Night Guy to Football. Guys, we We got a massive show tonight, but we're missing the cat because the cat's on holidays. But we've got Mr. Kenny Wilson, the Scottish idol of the game from Scotland. Let's do it for you. Check it out. Hup, feel it, hup. Here we go. Hey! The cup of life, this is the one. Now here's the top, don't never stop. We should've known, gotta be strong. We should've known, Carlos, go. Now when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet, Kenny. Now today you can hear it going. I see it in your eyes, Tony. Got the cup of life. Antonis, what are you gonna do with it if you get it? Do you really want it, Carlos? Move me, man. Here we go right now, people. Here we go. We are the people. We are the passion. We are the history. I'm the soccer psycho, and I've got my disciples right now in front of you guys. Welcome, gentlemen. Kenny Wilson from Sydney. Welcome, sir. We got Antonis Pagonas, chief head writer of the game in, of course, in Adelaide. We've got Tony Goodwin, the Socceroo Dan, and Carlos, the boxing miracle tonight. All the way, the Lone Ranger from Sydney, boys. Welcome. Now that's what you call an entry, a bloody entry, guys. You become famous tonight. Antonis, welcome to Football Less. I tell you what, mate, you've never heard a show like this before. Is that right? That's for sure.
Thanks for having me. I think we've been trying for about a month to tee it up. A World Cup, Australia Cup. So,
mate,
it's good to be on there.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, of course, there, Antonis, what I would like to say, everybody joining us right now, watching, got a lot of people watching tonight, guys, fantastic. Now, the thing about this is, guys, we're going to be talking about the South Australian game. We've been to Queensland. We've been to New South Wales, of course, with Carlos. We've been to bloody Victoria, how many bloody hundreds of thousands of times, the issues here. But now in South Australia. We've been to exactly Carlos, Tasmania as well. So we've basically circumnavigated Australia. I'm using a sextant still, a bloody sextant still at the game on this show as well. So we're going to South Australia. We've got to go to Perth next. A lot of people in Perth want to come on. But Antonis, mate, we have how many never-ending issues in South Australia, in Adelaide. I'm so sad that we lost a great team, West Adelaide Hellas, being promoted last year, demoted this year. I mean, what the hell is going on over there, mate, in that wine state of yours?
Yeah, look, West Adelaide-wise, it was good to see them back up. I just don't think they had, I guess, the funding to, I guess, get a team to that level, the MPO level. And they actually were a tough team to beat for a while, but had a couple of unfortunate injuries and then not going back down. It was just a shame not to see them in their new facility yet, which will probably debut next year now in the state leagues. But it's really like a facility that should be in the MPO level.
Exactly. I mean, and of course, I can go back with Kenny here. Kenny, you would have played against West Adelaide Hellas and the people there and everything, the legendary club. I mean, you knew what was going on at that time.
Yeah, many times we had, obviously sister club to Olympic, and back in the days when Graham Honeyman and a few of the guys played at Hindmarsh.
Yes.
Played there many times, had some funny stories. In actual fact, we had a great story against West Adelaide. They came here to play us, and we were using St George Stadium as our home ground.
Yes.
I think I might have told you the story before. And Adidas were sponsoring the league at the time, or the kit. And at that stage, it was the old change rooms at St George Stadium behind the goals. And the referee came in, and nowadays they checked the studs and the boots, and he came in, and it was Doug Rennie, and he came in, and he checked the studs, and he was, they're a bit sharp, fix that, fix this. He goes in and does the same for West Adelaide. We come out, we're walking out, they've got the identical strip to us.
Oh my
identical. God. Socks, shorts, and top. It was something out of the Twilight Zone. And we're walking out and we're looking at each other as if to say, this isn't going to work.
Didn't the referee notice that when he walked in at the time? He couldn't believe this.
He was too busy checking his studs.
Oh my
God. Our gear steward, Yanni, God bless his soul, who's no longer with us, he had to jump in his little van, drive to Belmore and pick up our away strip and bring it back for West Adelaide to wear. So back in the days where the kick-off get delayed for an hour and a half. But they were the crazy things that used to happen back in the NSL.
Oh, my God. Antonis, and that actually happens now, is that right? You've been to some games down there in the NPL saying, what the hell is going on here? the history revisited. Is that right?
Not quite these days. I think they're a lot more on it these days to make sure these things don't happen. But I can imagine with two Greek clubs like that, they have pretty similar ideologies of what they should be wearing.
Unbelievable. Now, of course, Carlos, we're going to be talking about NPL South Australia right now. With you got any questions for Antonis? Because this is very important. Here's a few other issues in South Australia. Carlos.
Well, from where I see, the state of South Australian football is healthy because we have two clubs, Metro Stars at Campbelltown City, with an opportunity to be literally in the top 8 of Australian football. Is that because they work really hard, or is it because South Australian football is working hard to improve over time?
Look, I think it's a bit of both. Campbelltown City has been, as I'm sure Tony can tell you as well, has been the NPL club in South Australia for the past decade. They've basically won half the league titles. Metro Stars have really taken a notch up in the last couple of years. They actually employ the only full-time NPL coach in South Australia. So Danny Greystone works for Metro Stars full-time. Coach, technical director, and you can see it's a club all on the same page. And for me, there's about 4, 5, 6 players in the Metro Stars team that could easily be playing in the A-League right now. So they're two very talented sides. We obviously had Adelaide City and the Comets in the years before. And again, once you're in the zone, you think, oh, this is an issue. But I actually agree with you, Carlos, that if you take a step back and look at the lay of the land, South Australia is actually in a very good position, especially for the population size and things like that. So I'm pretty happy with where South Australian football sits. As all fans from all states, there's things I'd like to see improved in certain aspects. But yeah, I'm pretty happy where we stand.
Tony, yourself, you go to the games. You've always seen Antonis there. You talk together. You see the people going to the games. Can you? I mean, I don't understand, Tony, how many people go to the games there in South Australia. You two guys here go there. You see how many people. So, what is the outlook of how many people that go there? The support is the support bigger than the other states, Tony? And I'll bring you guys both in, Tony and Antonis. Tony first.
Yeah, it's depending on which games you go, and also depends on the times. I find Campbelltown, especially if they have their juniors sometimes rock up, so they can have quite a few hundred people when the juniors are actually at the ground, because they're generally just dressed in their kits. The cars park all the way around the ground on an elevated position, so they all look down on the game, so cars are allowed in around the perimeter, just like the old days. It has the real old day feel about it. Adelaide City probably don't get the numbers I'd like to see there. I mean, they are a big club, a big lot of history, but I just don't see the numbers there, and I don't know why. Raiders have been getting some really good crowds, and they also have some outstanding facilities, and they got promoted again this year back to the Division 1, and that's where they really belong in that level. It was just surprising to see them drop down and then struggle for a couple of years, but they're back up where they belong now, and they have the facilities to match it. So, look, I think South Australian football is in a healthy position. I mean, there's got some great people working for Football South Australia, promoting, and the NPL TV has really helped as well. Some outstanding commentary and volunteers. And then you've got Antonis as well, and what he's been doing in the game. He might want to elaborate probably a little about our history, Antonis, about how you started, because I know you're an English teacher and you've done a lot of travelling. Just let the viewers just know where you came from, basically, and got involved with the game now, and also the interviews that you do.
Before I bring Antonis, hang on for a second. Please forgive me if you're an English teacher. Whatever I wrote there about you and everybody there, please give me a mark. Don't give me a mark out of 10, okay? Thank you. Go on. Jesus, mate.
Yeah, I am. My full-time gig is a teacher, but again, I'm sure all of us here love the game and contribute to it in different ways. And I guess you kind of see like a gap. You see all these great stories that you feel like someone needs to tell them. And, I started a couple of years ago and I've kept going, and I'm really enjoying doing it, and just really, I guess, presenting a picture of that healthy football landscape in South Australia that Tony mentioned. And I agree with him about the crowds. Some crowds you get very impressed with. Other crowds you feel like they could be a bit better. But what I'm sure Tony's noticed, and I noticed, is when you have the big events, the big finals, the Australia Cup, every time you're going to get a crowd showing up. which I'm sure we're going to talk about this a bit more. I feel like football needs to capture the imagination of these people, of these communities. I feel like a lot of them are too, I guess, used to, we're going to play this team twice and this team twice, and we're going to go into next season. I think a lot of them are dreaming of seeing their club, not just the club, but their ethnicity, the community, represented at a higher level. You see clubs like Adelaide, Croatia, that Tony mentioned, and the players that produce, someone like Nestor Nkunda that rips it up, Adelaide United, he actually came from Adelaide, Croatia. So Nestor's not Croatian, but that community gets behind him like he's one of their own. So I think they really enjoy seeing their own represented at that level. And I feel like these clubs, especially someone like Adelaide City or Metro Stars or Campbelltown, really relish those nights like the Cup or their big finals where they get to show really what the club's all about at that level. So I think that's what that community's after.
Now, Kenny, you actually went to Hindmarsh Stadium when it was we're not talking here about the NSL. We're talking the Phillips League.
Correct.
I know my history, mate. Believe me. And I'll tell you something right now. Those days were very different, Kenny. We're talking about the first national competition. What was it like? We're talking about a packed house. Is that right? Adelaide, West Adelaide, mate, or Adelaide City, unbelievable. Tell me which was the worst team that you played against. Which one got a go at yous?
Well, look, I mean, Adelaide City had in fairness, West Adelaide had Jim Adam as the coach, and they actually won the NSL.
Yes,
under Jim Adam. Yeah. So they had a good side, and Raleigh had Adelaide City. They had Dixie Deans, Davy Mitchell, Justin Fashanu. I mean, we talk about marquees and players. Dixie Deans was one of Celtic's all-time top goal scorers. And then you got obviously Davy Mitchell started his career at Adelaide City, and then you had Justin Fashanu, who was one of the first £1 million football players. So for us, the derby game, probably because it was Greek, West Adelaide was probably the bigger game. But the great thing in the day is we'd fly up on a Saturday and the games were a Sunday. So, there was a lot of hype, and, you'd go to the West Adelaide club, and, so, look, I just want to ask a question. The two clubs, because obviously, I don't know a great deal about the local teams in South Australia, but the two teams that we've been talking about that you were saying are going really well and flying and winning teams, have they applied for the National Second Division?
Yeah, I think there were discussions of them joining up together to do a joint bid, but they never materialised. Metro Stars have been very vocal that they do want to be in the National Second Division, but not right now. They want to be in the next round. So neither of these teams will be in this first version of the National Second Division, no.
Well, it's interesting that your two best clubs at that level don't want to be in the because what will eventually, what I think will happen if it takes off, there probably won't be any promotion relegation in that either. So to get in, it's one of these. If you don't get in at the front end, you're waiting for someone to fall over, or So it's just interesting that the two successful clubs you've got have decided not to put a bid in. It's quite interesting for me. But
it's really the financial side of things. I think both of them would absolutely love to be in there, but I feel they're finding their financial side very difficult right now. Metro Stars are fantastic about how they go about with their sponsors. They've got a lot of great sponsors, but they've got a plan to build towards it. So, our current bids, Adelaide City, which I'm sure you've heard about, and the Football South Australia bid, and Playford, which was rejected in the first round of bidding.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a bit strange that right now, Antonis, you have also the NPL finals. Where are we at with the NPL finals? Can you tell us?
Yeah. So Football South Australia has adopted the A-League's final system.
Really?
Which meant, so in the first week of finals, the top two teams, be it Campbelltown City and Metro Stars, had a week off, which meant Adelaide United faced Adelaide Comets and advanced. Adelaide United advanced. And then we had the other final, Modbury Jets against Adelaide City, which I'm not sure if you saw. Modbury won that in the 95th minute, came from behind and knocked out Adelaide City. And we just had the first leg of finals last week. Adelaide United actually beat Campbelltown 2-1, with a couple of A-League boys and Luka Jovanovic and Nestor Nkunda scoring.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and then in the other final, Metro Stars were actually 2-1 down to Modbury Jets in injury time, about to lose the first game since April. And then a young boy, defensive midfielder Jackson Fortunato, came off the bench, scored his first 2 professional goals in injury time, and Metro Stars won 3-2. So that was something.
2 in 2.
Unbelievable. So, Carlos, we're also at the New South Wales MPL finals, is that right?
Well, Apia had won the league with a game to spare because of the superior goal difference. And
no finals, is it?
And then there's no grand final in New South Wales.
Oh, gee.
So, the reason that it was changed is we had 4 divisions of 12 teams. So the 4 divisions compressed into 3 of 16 teams, so which gave 30 games. It gave each division 30 games home and away. And that's the reason we didn't have the grand final this year, because of a longer season. Apia the week before they lost 2-1 to Spirit FC. However, Rockdale, who were 3 points behind, who were 4 points behind, drew with Sydney FC. So Apia had a 28 plus 28 goal difference. So that, with a match to spare, they won yesterday 2-1. Lumber Park was about 1,500 people. They won the league deservedly, plus 28 goal difference. Franco Parisi, who is a former A-League player and probably played his best football with Apia when he semi-retired, his first coaching gig takes him to the premiership. So life couldn't be better for Franco Parisi. And
That's amazing.
On Wednesday, Apia continues its journey against Sydney FC in Australia Cup. And then on the 10th, it is the final of the Waratah Cup against Sydney United, who got flogged by Brisbane. The Waratah Cup, it is the 4 teams within New South Wales who make it to the round of 32 Australia Cup.
Yes.
They play against each other, and then they play for the Waratah Cup. So Sydney United and Apia will face off on the 10th of September at Leichhardt Oval for the Waratah Cup. And then in the women's, this year, New South Wales Football created a similar knockout competition for the women's. And Apia Leichhardt, who also won the women's Premier League division in a canter. Well, they've got 3 games to go, but it's up to them to lose it. They will play Northern Tigers. So Apia Leichhardt, it's on a roll. And it was about just under 1,500 at Lumber Park yesterday.
It's a lot of people for a... So we're talking about no finals. We're talking about first past the post. We're going European style now. Is that right?
Absolutely, because Football New South Wales believed that because of the longer season, there wouldn't be enough room to play 6 weeks more of final football.
Gee.
And that decision was made. A lot of people are unhappy about it because for the club to finish 4th or 5th, the grand final format gave them the chance to make extra money through the gate and maybe pick up some silverware and a small trophy. But it is what it is. 3 division of 16 teams, promotion, relegation into up or down. And Apia has won. They defeated St. George City 2-1. And, so it was a beautiful day in Sydney, about 23 degrees, sunny, bit of wind, just lovely to play football.
Kenny, that's amazing. You're in New South Wales yourself. Have you heard? How do you feel with this? There's so much money being lost here. I mean, this is ridiculous.
But mate, I've got to be honest. I'm old school. Like first past the post as a champion. I'm not into the rugby league grand final stuff. I never have been, and I've won a few. I've been fortunate to win 2 grand finals and 2 state leagues and 1 national league. But and it's great to play in it. But the reality is, football's a first past the post.
Yes,
if we focus first past the post, and we worked on cup competitions and made them financially feasible and get some backing. Like we used to have the Ampol Cup, for example.
Yes.
The Ampol used to back, and I was fortunate enough to win that. Where there was money and promotion, and then you get the games up. For me, it's important to play games. Our seasons are too short. When you're talking about a 32, 33, 34 game season for professionals or semi-professionals, it's not enough. We should be playing, at least 40, 42, 43, and our kids should be playing a lot more. I mean, all our kids finished up in New South Wales here. Majority of them finished on Saturday, and the women and the girls finished on Sunday. Well, my son and my grandson. My son ended up playing 17 games in AL1s, and my grandson played 12 for a season. Finished now, and if they don't play futsal or six-a-side summer comps, they don't play again till, technically, the comp doesn't start till Easter, the week after Easter, which is April. And the goalposts don't go up to 2 weeks before because of cricket. So you're talking about playing and then having more than 6 months off. And that's a real development issue at grassroots, real problem. And, we can talk about all other stuff, but the reality is, games. That's where you improve. That's where you learn. You watch your idols. You go into games and you try and emulate, and that's where you get players excelling. But at the moment, 12 and 17 games for me is a joke.
Let me just say to you guys, gentlemen, let me just say this about this. When Frank Lowy was in charge of the FA, and he approached all the former NSL clubs and all the clubs throughout the whole country to say we're going to start this NPL competition where if you finished on top, you played in the NPL National. Now, that was the reason why it was brought in. So now the NPL, forget about it now, because I'll just say to you, there is no more NPL National playing. They're not doing it anymore. So why are we calling every competition NPL Victoria, NPL South Australia? That's gone. That's finished. So I think it's best to go back to the names, the old names and stuff like this. Carlos, this is what was brought in. So now, why do you want to call it NPL?
Because it's a Premier League.
But it's no longer affiliated. No affiliation with a national.
No, it's still the Premier League, which tells you it is the highest. In essence, the NPL is the second tier of Australian football, because a lot of Rockdale, for example, Apia has a lot of former A-League players, so for whatever reason, had an injury or couldn't make the grade or had a falling out with the coach playing NPL.
But that's always happened.
So I don't mind the name National Premier League Victoria, because in essence it's a second division to Australian football until we have an official second division.
Yeah, but that's always been. I mean, like historically, we had the State League Division 1, which was the second division to the NSL. It was always that, and there was players would drop from the NSL into the state leagues and sometimes go back up again. We've always said that. That's never changed. But all we've done is change the name. It was State League Division 1.
That's right.
State League Division 1 Adelaide, State League Division 2, Division 1 Brisbane, State League Division 1 in New South Wales. So all we've done is we've changed the name, but structurally it's the same. Really, I mean, the teams are different, but the structure's the same. They could never. Well, I'll rephrase that. There was an opportunity to get promotion, but it wasn't a fair promotion, because they would actually pick which state could get promoted and some states couldn't. So it wasn't a fair level playing field. If they never wanted the Victorian team in, it would be a New South Wales team or a Brisbane team. So, but we haven't really progressed from and that was probably the 60s. That we had state leagues, State League Division 1 right through. So we've certainly changed the name, but has anything else changed? I don't know.
Tony, as you come from England, of course, first past the post, bang, 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 the Premier League or First Division England in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 50s, whatever. I mean, are we going back? Are we going backwards by seeing a competition in Australia go back to the original way of the European way? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make it very exciting because we know in this country we love grand finals, we love semi-finals, elimination finals, and of course, I want to say this to Antonis as well. Missing out on this sort of stuff is there's no excitement there. You're going to turn up to the last game of the season, you're on top, and you've got to win the last game to make it, to be the champions. Tony, what do you think of that?
We've always been, I guess, finals orientated because of the VFL and the AFL. But if you look at like Europe, I mean, you've got 42 games, like Kenny said, 42 games for the season, you know, so it's a marathon. So those teams that get to the top there have earned the right to win it. We unfortunately only play like 26 games, so therefore we have finals, which like gives us more games. The reasons why we have finals, and it's from an AFL situation, is it makes more money. You know, because you get bigger crowds, there's a bigger fanfare, you get your big TV audience for the grand final, and it makes a lot of coin. So I know Graham Arnold is pushing heavily for a much longer A-League season. He thinks it's pathetically too low, which it is. I remember when Craig was little at Manapara City, we used to play obviously probably 12, 15 games for the season. Then we'd go straight into the indoor competitions and we'd play that. And then we finished pre-season for the new league. So these kids played all year round, but they wanted to. They loved it. And they couldn't get enough of it. All these little kids were just so excited to play indoor. And then they, you know, learn new skills indoor, obviously getting a lot of touches, and learn the triangle systems off the walls as well, because it was basically a closed-in centre. So they improved incredibly. I watched an under-10s game in the weekend, and our under-6s looked very similar when they started. So the difference of not playing all the time compared to playing, like, you know, Kenny said, for 12 games, and if you're not going to play again till the following season, you're not going to learn anything because you've lost the touch. You know, if you practice, you end up becoming good. But if you don't practice at all and you stop, you go backwards. It takes a long time to get going. So we do need a longer season. Yeah, I can see the merit in the 42-game system first past the post, but I also see the merit in the finals series too. But like Kenny said, I'm a bit of the old traditionalist. You know, the team that works hard to get to the top. You look at Melbourne City, how unlucky they've been the last 3 years. Finish top and get done in the grand final. You know, it's not really a true indication who was the best. And
to say about this Antonis, going back to the old system, the European system, that would have been better for them to have the finishing on top and then having the NPL National instead of going to have the final series like Tony was saying, and of course Kenny going the old way too. Like in that's what they should have done. They should let all the finals go and then just get the top team to play the Nationals, and they dismantled it. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's something that we all looked forward to. The teams have finished on top. We'd love to see a small national knockout competition with the best teams around Australia. How do you feel? We don't see this no more. That was fantastic at the time, you know?
Yeah, I'd love that back. I think COVID kind of took that away and we haven't gotten it back. But I think in general, it is very interesting what Sydney's doing, and I'd love to see how it works out. But I feel like in Australia, you know, you mentioned about Tony in England. I'm from Greece as well. In Greece and in England, you follow the team and you live and die by that team. It doesn't matter where they are, that's your team. I feel like Australia is more of like a theatre goers kind of society. You're there not just for the team, but the occasion. And that's why people get around that finals format so much. So, and my other concern with not the final system, the first past the post system, is, all right, you've got a runaway leader like RPA Leichhardt. How about the teams around like third and fifth and sixth? The teams that can't win it anymore, it's not logical, and they can't get relegated. I feel like without finals, it kind of, a lot of these people that don't have that mentality that this is my team, I'm going to be there every week, their interest kind of just falls away. That's my one concern. But I do like first past the post for everything else. And I agree with the young players playing a lot more games. I think it's very, very poor that the APL hasn't reintroduced that A-League youth that used to happen. It used to only be a 10-week competition. But if we're serious, really, those youth teams need to be following the senior teams every week and playing the youth team of the opposition. Let these kids play games. That's how they get better. You know, they want to make their jump to the professional level. Let them play every week, not a little 10-week Mickey Mouse competition that you play 10 games and then you got a 2-week final system and that's it. That hasn't been reintroduced. It's been 3 years now. What are we waiting for? That's what I find very hard to take. That it's at that development stage they did not get games whatsoever.
It's exactly
two
right.
things.
Carlos?
In New South Wales, all the A-League clubs play in NPL.
Same here.
Sydney has an under-21 squad. MacArthur Bulls under-21. They just got relegated to League One. The Jets play. The Mariners play. So in each of the A-League feeder teams, either under-23 or Sydney under-21. The outdoor season finishes now, last week. Futsal season kicks off second week in September for 3 months. So those who want to play, okay, futsal is a different kettle of fish because the venues are limited and you might have to travel better. So those who want to play futsal, it kicks off from under 6 to all age women's and over 35, I think it is, but you'd be nuts to play over 35 futsal when you're 40 or 50. So there's football all around. It's more difficult to get to futsal than there is to 11-a-side football because of the venues.
Yeah, I've got to say, I can speak with confidence here because I've won the National Futsal League and I've won the A-League or the NSL. They're completely different games.
Oh, yes.
Completely different games.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, futsal is like basketball.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and my team that won the National League at futsal, we had some fantastic players, but none of them played, other than me, who I sort of retired at that time, other than me, none of them who they tried to play NSL, but never made it. Because there's very few sort of understand the concept that, you know, 11-a-side is short, long, open. You've got to be able to open the game up in 11-a-side. Futsal's very, very condensed. And you're looking, as I say, it's like basketball rules. I mean, how you play futsal is like how you play basketball. You play point, you play wide. And it's, so I suppose I'm going back to my point originally. From a development perspective, you know, kids are not getting the 11-a-side experience from the 24th of August through to March, end of March. And that's where the real, and we're talking about as an outdoor player, that's where the development's got to increase.
And when I talk about getting more game times, I mean for those kids in the A-League system, because Adelaide United, Sydney FC are not going to let their best and brightest go and play futsal. They'll have a heart attack knowing they're going near a venue. So for me, that's who you need to increase, because that's the step. How you go from being a very good player to being a fully professional player. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. These are the kids that we definitely should be at least following the A-League team. If Adelaide United plays Sydney FC away, the curtain raiser for me should be Adelaide United against Sydney FC's young teams. Yes. Not just in the NPL, in the seniors as well, playing against not just men, but talented kids in your own age group that challenge you.
And Kenny will say, I'll say it to Kenny as well. Kenny, that happened. That happened at your time. Is that right? That all happened.
We had an NSL youth team, and you were allowed 3 overage players. I chuckle every time I hear this under 23s and under 21s. It's a ridiculous concept. If you're not pushing NSL or A-League at 21 or 23 and you're in the squad, you ain't made it. You're kidding yourself. You're absolutely fooling yourself. And like I've said to you before, you know, when I came here in 77, we had a 16-man squad at Sydney Olympic. 12 of us were 19. 12. And that was in a lot of teams were like that. There was some teams that had a lot of experienced players, but we had 12. But if you turn around and say to me, a 21 and 22-year-old now, you know, might make it, if he's not at 21, 22, he's already a man. You know,
That's right.
if he's not in the playing, or at least nearly breaking into an A-League team, then he should be playing in the NPL, or he should be playing, in what we had, the old State League. So, if it was me, I'd do an under-18 youth league, allowing maybe 3 overage players from the main team who maybe were injured or coming back and need to, get match practice. But at least at under 18, 16, 17-year-olds, you'll get that progression of, allowing them the opportunity to break into a squad. At 21, 22, 23, for me, if they're not in the actual main squad by then, they never will be.
And this is what. Go on, Antonis.
At that age.
Sorry?
You see them getting moved on at that age,
Yes.
from the A-League list. So that's what happens. But for me, they shouldn't just be challenged by the local NPL teams. They should be playing similar kids from another state or from down the road.
Yes.
In that system.
And let me just tell you, the games I've been to in Melbourne this year and the last few years, they play the youth before the main team, the NPL Victoria. So why is it so different in every other state? That's what I can't understand. Even the A-League, it's crazy.
It's the same in the NPLs here. What I'm saying is that should be the case in the A-League.
Yes,
that should be the
exactly.
Copy and paste.
We adopt that in the NPL, but they don't want to adopt it up there. And of course, the Phillips League right through the NSL, Kenny, it was all there. That was.
Yeah.
That were the curtain raisers. The kids are getting experience.
Always. It was under 18s plus 3. That's how it used to operate. So the plus 3 was then you use 3 overage players in the squad, and but predominantly the teams were the lads were 16, 17, and 18. And that's where Peter Raskopoulos came through. Peter Catholis, Mark Koussis, they were all in that team playing at Olympic when I was there. Chris Galantis, Gary Phillips, they were all in that team.
I want to move on to the next subject here, and this is for Tony and for of course South Australia, for Antonis. Gentlemen, I believe that Hindmarsh Stadium is allergic to the Victory supporters? It's allergic or something. Is it allergic? There's something about is it cursed? They've cursed the bloody Melbourne Victory supporters. Tony, what the hell is going on there, mate?
Even they don't know, I don't think, the way they started off with that was an absolute joke. But again, you look at the timing of the last few years, and every time we have a successful competition, a la the Socceroos last year, the crap hit the fan, and then we had the Matildas this year, and the crap hits the fan.
Yes.
And if that ain't choreographed, agendaed, then I don't know what is, because it's every bloody time, and the media just pick up on it. The one thing that annoyed me was Channel 9 released an article, then they retracted it about half an hour later, and then they reposted it again at 4:14, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, you're just doing it for bloody hits now, are you, for people on your site? So it's ridiculous. With the Victory fans, they bring an amazing atmosphere. I know Craig for a fact he loves that game. It's got passion, it's got crazy fans from both sides. It's like a grand final in an A-League game, and the players love it. They love going to Victoria for it, and the Victorians love coming here for it. And to punish the majority for a few paid idiots or rent a crowd to infiltrate the Victory people and make them look bad is ridiculous. But whatever agenda they had, I know some guy's been sacked over it, but I want to know the story of why I released it in the first place.
Antonis, now the thing about this is what happens if you're a Victory supporter or Victorian supporter that actually lives in South Australia, and you turn up to the game with a Melbourne Victory top and they say you're not welcome. Excuse me, mate, there's my bloody South Australian license. I'm just bloody South Australian. What happens then, mate? Jesus, mate.
It's like, usually I'd be frustrated, but this was so funny. It was just tragically comical. It's like, I don't even know where to start with it. We have to say it has been retracted now, and as Tony said, the CEO has been stood down over it. It seems like he might have gone rogue there. But for me, the punishment's already been handed down by the FA.
Yes.
It's been served. So what are you punishing now? Because saying you can't come into the stadium without buying a ticket with an SA postcode isn't actually discrimination.
It is.
So that's one thing. And the other thing I laughed at, which you'll probably appreciate, Harry, one of the people they put on camera to talk about it is the chair of AVM, Adelaide Venues Management, and his name is actually Andrew Daniels, which is a very similar name to someone
And Andrews, you might. Does that name always come up and pisses me? Sorry for swearing. I can't go anymore like that. If you're talking about if you're talking about that problem, let me tell you something right now in Melbourne. When that problem happened last year after the Socceroos, and of course the Matildas, the same problem, mate. We're headed for the same problem here because the way they're talking about discriminating against these people turning up to a game, mate. They're actually fueling the fire. They're fueling it more. And let me tell you, this is straight after the Matildas too. And Kenny, you know for a fact. Mate, you've seen violence, mate. As you say to me, Kenny, the keys have been given to the people who own the bloody asylum have got the keys to the bloody asylum, mate. You're correct.
Yeah, the lunatics have got the keys to the asylum. But I have to say, boys, this is not a new thing.
No.
Rangers and Celtic have been doing it to each other for the last 8 years. Rangers, when Celtic play at Ibrox, only give Celtic 600 tickets from a 60,000 capacity.
Oh, my God.
And Celtic, who have got a 68,000 capacity, give Rangers 750 tickets.
Oh my God! And I'm going to go to Carlos
now.
It's
not just over here.
Oh.
You know, it happens in a lot of places where the home team, for whatever reason, decides that we're not going to give the opposition any tickets. And in most cases, it's because they've got a massive support anyway, and they're going to sell out. But the point I'm making is it doesn't happen just in Australia. It happens overseas too.
But Adelaide knew nothing about it either.
But
Adelaide United knew nothing about it. So
oh boy, guys,
no talking. I mean, let's just make up a rule and bring it out. It's just all wrong
without consultation. Yeah, that's the thing. And of course, Kenny knows about violence, mate. I don't want to talk about it, and Carlos will get stuck into me in a minute. What I'm about to tell him as well. And I'll tell you what, Kenny, Pratton Park. It brings back memories of Pratton Park, mate. It brings back memories of the people coming on the ground with broomsticks and bloody corner flags and things. It was a circus, mate. They're talking about this stuff. They're talking about this stuff.
I had the guy that's that you see when you see that footage. The guy that's got the big case above his head.
I saw it.
He was actually working at my house.
Oh my God!
Renovating my kitchen.
Oh.
And that was his toolbox. Because he came from my place.
Jesus, he's unbelievable.
He was in the cabinets at my place, and he brought the toolbox to the game. And so I'm looking at that, and I'm going, "Oh God, here we go."
And the thing about Carlos is to tell you about Carlos. You were at that game. Was it the game last year where Sydney United were there with their waving of the hands and things, and you were saying, it happens everywhere. What can you do?
Well, it's very simple. If you get hit with a wet lettuce, it will continue. It will continue to happen. Unfortunately, Melbourne Victory fans have a minority have formed because they come to Sydney and they repaps it. So they have.
Oh no!
Now, I am sure that the club hierarchy knows who these troublemakers are. I'm sure there's a lot of chatter in social media through Facebook planning this, because in the old days, if you have to have a fisticuff, you have to ring on the landline, and now it's instantaneous communication. So I think we need to be smarter through intelligence how we counteract this hoodlum behaviour before it happens, knowing that there's a section, albeit rather small section of a club's supporter base that go there to cause mayhem. And once you cause mayhem, if the club gets hit with a wet lettuce, they just will continue. So Sydney United against MacArthur, to me the punishment didn't fit the crime, because they were allowed to compete in this year's Australia Cup, which they went as far as they probably could. Suspended sentence. Yes, there was be sent to visit the Jewish Museum to get Holocaust lessons and all that. Gee. But anyone who, and the coach and a couple of the executive, spent 2 days at the Holocaust Museum hearing from survivors what it was like, this and that. But anyone who's in their 60s or 40s and has had a history lesson at school there's something wrong. If they had a history lesson, maybe they've got historical amnesia. So the key is, to me, to these rogue supporters, it is we need to be clever with intelligence through social media, because there has to be a lot of chatter planning these events and giving the club a bad name. And but then punishment must be swift and harsh, and if it means playing games behind closed doors, Melbourne Victory, so be it, or Sydney United. But you can't hit club with a wet lettuce, because the punishment has to hurt for people to sit back and dob in the hoodlums who everyone knows who they are, and I'm sure the hierarchy knows who they are, because when I go to some of the local games, and Sydney United is one of them, these are the same people who sit in the same corner shouting abuse at everyone. And you cannot tell me you don't know who they are, because every 2 weeks, the same people go there, they have a few beers, and then they get this bravado. So to me, the club hierarchy needs to step up, and the true supporters need to dive in those idiots.
Let me go on, Kenny. Go on, boys.
Well, there's bad people in every club, and they're not huge.
Well, get rid of
like
them.
you said. As you said, the hierarchy definitely knows who these people are, and I just think in general we need to be better at calling that stuff out, because every club, even Sydney United, Melbourne Victory, there's a lot of good people.
Yes,
absolutely,
and they're being painted by a bad brush because of those few. So clubs and supporters, for their own benefit, need to go out of the way to get rid of that minority.
What I will say to you guys is this: last year when we had that thing happen after the World Cup, the crap after the World Cup, the pitch invasion on the ground, I had people ringing me, Harry, I'm not going to go back to Melbourne Victory. My son, my little kids were very scared when they saw this thing happen. Mate, this is the thing. This is what happens. You lose memberships. It's not just if you don't keep these people quiet and you continually put them into the ground, and they're saying that they banned these people, they banned them. And how did they get back in? That's what I'd like to know. But that's up to the A-leagues and to fix this mess up themselves.
And
you know?
Just with that, it's not just about banning. It's about how you're going to actually uphold it. You can't just say, you can't do this. You need to actually have a plan,
to keep them
which
out.
they often don't. So, again, something to consider, because that punishment is important.
Yes.
And unless you know how to follow it up, it becomes quite meaningless.
Exactly. I'm going to go to the next thing that happened today, and I was not very happy about this. It actually happened yesterday. I spoke to some prominent owner. I will not mention his name, and he was absolutely surprised, thinking, why didn't this group called the Pelligra Group, and of course Tony knows who they are, go and put a bid in to buy Perth Glory? I'm thinking to myself, hang on for a sec, the Pelligra Group are Victorians, and it's very sad that they've actually trying to invest in an A-League team in Western Australia that people don't even go to anymore. I mean, how can you invest in something? That's what I don't understand this at all.
Hang on. Perth Glory used to be a team they used to pack.
We know that, Carlos. I know that very well.
So if you have a winning team, people in Perth will support a winning team. So whichever group buys Perth Glory, they see potential in their return. So, if you got the money and you don't want to make money from a team and you want a tax deduction, so the best way to get a tax write-off will be to buy a football team that doesn't pay you back for years.
I agree with Carlos. We've spoken of it before. Why would you join an NPL or an A-League second division when you can go straight into the A-League by buying a good license? Straight in. That's what some of these second division teams should be doing. Newcastle, 4 years now they haven't had an owner. 4 seasons.
Exactly.
Macarthur, on its knees. Western United, probably on its knees. Brisbane, probably on its knees.
Oh, they are.
So a half decent offer, you would get the teams. So if they were really serious about wanting to be in the A-League, and I'm talking about serious meaning, our ethnic what ethnic-based teams, the Olympics, the Appias, the Marconis, the Melbournes, South Melbournes, Heidelbergs, whatever. You'd be raising, enough capital because they'll get the license for 2/5 of nothing, or they'll get it on it. They'll get the same deal that Western United and Macarthur have got. They bought the license on Afterpay.
Oh my God, they're paying off.
They're paying it off.
Unbelievable, and that should never happen. That should never happen.
No.
Professional teams. That's embarrassing to hear that, Ken. That's really embarrassing.
Yeah, they should never. If you can't afford it, you should never let buy it. Yeah. My father used to always say to me, "Son, if you can't afford something, don't buy it."
Exactly.
So if you've got, I think it was 11 million or whatever it was, the license, I think the cap paid. But they got it on a, like a deposit, and pay it off.
Oh my.
Really? Newcastle sitting there, getting funded by. Well, it was 3 teams. I've privately heard that one of the teams has pulled the plug on the funding. So there's only 2 teams funding them. And I know I keep saying it. I don't know how FIFA allows it, because how can you have 2 teams in the same competition funding another team? It just seems it just opens up to all sorts of gambling issues to me.
It does.
They've got like Newcastle, if we go back years ago when Craig was there. I mean, they had Emil Heskey there. And that game they played Sydney when Del Piero played his first home game at the Sydney ground. The crowd was massive. The number of Newcastle fans were exceptional. And you think the fan base is in Newcastle. It just needs a lucky break. The fan base we know is in Perth. Obviously, they used to get 25,000 in the NSL there, and they were probably some of the best supporters in Australia because they had a huge British contingent there, and they used to bring the old passion of the old Championship Premier days. So I don't. Maybe they see that, and maybe they just want to try and revive it. But it's got a brand and it's got a popularity. They need to get the people back. Newcastle have got the same thing. They could get the people back if it started to get successful again. But they went with 2 other clubs and brought them in, and they brought them into an area that didn't even have a fan base, and that showed. Wollongong probably deserved a chance better than anyone else.
Exactly.
And they would have had a fan base. They would have been a massive fan base.
You talk about Newcastle. I mean, in '78, I played in the game. It held the record up until about 5 or 6 years ago. I think Melbourne Victory broke the record.
Yes.
We had 29,000 there at the Newcastle Sports Centre. 1978. There was kids sitting on the other side. I've got pictures of me playing, and the kids are sitting on the other side of the fence, goal side. And that's what they announced, 29,000. They shut the gates at 1:30. There was probably 33, 34,000 in there.
Yeah.
So they've definitely got the fan base up there. Absolutely no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. But
can you go on?
What's the answer? I don't know.
Well, my answer is this right now. Exactly what you guys are saying, how many people are turning up. Once again, and I'll say this too, and I know someone who's watching tonight who's really watching, who's connected to some guy very high in the APL, and I'm not going to mention your name. You know who you are out there. You're going to be saying a few words after this tonight too. That the advertising, once again, has not started after a World Cup, which is absolutely amazing. That the APL have not looked at any advertising for the beginning of the A-League. Every year we go through this, gentlemen. We go through this. We are frustrated. They're not bringing the game back up again after a fantastic Matilda's performance at the Women's World Cup. I mean, come on, Kenny. This has gone beyond a joke again. Every year we go through this.
Yeah, well, one of the Matildas got married today. Did you see that?
I saw something, yes, I did.
That was in the paper. They had that in the paper. So at least we're getting some publicity.
That's right. That's it. But Kenny, I can't believe this. I mean, God. I mean, what do you do? Antonis, what do we do?
For me, and I'm sure the advertising will come. For me, the biggest, I guess, disappointment of what happened is that Channel 10 didn't see like the value in its own product and bid for the World Cup. Because could you imagine if they were broadcasting a home World Cup in Australia that was getting half the country watching, and they could have put their own ads for their product, for their national league on there to say, come watch this, come do this.
Exactly.
That's the chance. That was the chance, and they decided to let it slip to Channel 7, and Channel 7's still laughing about it because they made a fortune out of it.
And they did.
For me, that's a disappointment. When the ads do come, though, and I'm sure they'll come, the ad should be something, I can't remember the exact number, 21 out of 25 Socceroos, made in the A-League. 24 out of 24 Matildas, whatever it was, made in the A-League. That is the advertising. Show kids, show parents that this is where these people you idolize come from. You know, it should be a really easy marketing message.
Well, I got one here right now for you. I got one here right now for you. The only people that can save the game is the Football S crew, mate. You know what it is? Because we are soccer superheroes, mate. We are soccer superheroes, and we got to start making names for ourselves. Wear costumes and things. There's Carlos. He's good, mate. There you go, mate. Soccer superheroes. And you know who told us we were soccer superheroes? One of the guys we interviewed was what's his name? The former coach of Ante Juric. He says, "You guys sound like soccer superheroes." He made that up, actually. That was amazing, mate. A former Socceroo being so creative to say you guys like soccer heroes of superheroes of the soccer game in Australia. That was amazing, Carlos. That was good. What you did just all you needed to do was a mask there, mate. Just then when you did that, it was fantastic, mate. That's what I said. The Lone Ranger. That's it, mate. He calls himself the Lone Ranger. There it is. Fantastic, Tony. What would you call yourself as a superhero of the game?
I don't know. One thing I do know is listening to all you guys speak with the different opinions, we all agree we're all on the same page. And Angelo Pica said the script writes itself. Bloody just read it and start it. Because, you know, there's a product's ready to kick off. I mean, I saw an article yesterday to say that Sydney had already reached their goal for memberships for the Sydney women's side, which is magnificent. I'm hoping Adelaide does the same. I mean, we broke the record for, I think it was for 5,000 to rock up to a W League game, and it was a curtain raiser. It was bloody awesome. A great atmosphere. I'll attend a lot more women's games this year as well, off the back, because they deserve our support as well. But I hope it's for all W League sides, because this is where it starts. You know, it's got to start with a small wave. It'll end up as a tidal wave. But they've already got the script. You know, everyone can see it. Just start it, promote it. You know, get it going. Channel 10, like Antonis said, missed an absolute perfect opportunity, and Channel 7 will now just fall back into its old ways, you know, back into the AFL, bag and football, or our football, but Channel 10, you know, they missed a massive opportunity, and it could have meant a big deal, you know, just to promote the game and basically carry on from where it left off. But, you know, they're dropping the ball again.
Exactly. We've dropped the ball. And not only that, tonight, guys, what I heard earlier before the show, I know I read this, you've got to be joking, and Marco Rudin, we're calling Marco Rudin now, and apparently the A-Leagues are pretty upset because they can't get players for their teams. They can't bring players in. They can't bring recruits in because the Saudis are starting to buy everybody. They're starting to buy everybody to try and bring their league up. That's the other thing, Carlos.
Well, as I said earlier, if the Karen Bensemas of this world go to Saudi for a paycheck, I don't have an issue with that. However, it's a free market, and you cannot blame someone like Quo, for example, who may be offered mega bucks, and 2 years of deprivation in Saudi Arabia, playing Mickey Mouse football, sets him for life and his family. So it's all about economics, and it's a free market. To me, the biggest issue is not Saudi Arabia's money. The biggest issue is we're going to have a massive growth in people wanting to play football, women and everyone. We don't have the fields. So we're going to have clubs will be turning away people across the nation because we don't have the fields to accommodate such an exponential growth that is predicted. Forget the Saudi League.
Yep.
It is what it is. Money talks. People, Ronaldo, Benzema, they don't need the money. They don't need it. But if you're 23 and you're decent enough, and the Saudis come knocking and they go, we'll offer you. Mancini went to Arab Emirates, 30 million euros a year or something to coach them. Well, you have to do it for your family. So we'll just see how it evolves. There's not stopping the Saudi money because FIFA is not going to intervene in the marketplace.
No, they won't.
So you can't blame the younger players for wanting to go because one ACL injury and you become yesterday's hero.
Now, I'm going to ask you guys, and this is who we're competing against. This is what the countries and everybody listening out there right now, this is what we are competing against. India, China, Saudi, America, and of course, you know what's happened to Messi. Mate, the game's gone through the roof in the MLS. Through the roof, mate.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Are we competing with them though? Because if you look at our financials, we're not even in the same world as them.
No.
For me, in my eyes, we should be a league that develops, not a league that tries to pull people in. Because we are never, if we want to go get Karim Benzema and Saudi comes in, MLS comes in, India comes in, at any given moment they can outmatch us when it comes to money.
But
Go on,
where
Carlos.
the clubs will benefit, Goulburn Valley, who produced Goran Qual, received $34,000.
That's what we should be
from
focusing
FIFA
on.
And that's
because
fine.
he went to the World Cup. So where the clubs, Metro Stars, Campbelltown City, forget the second division, to me, with the introduction of transfer fees between clubs and the A-League clubs, these clubs, the future for them to become the Southamptons of the Crystal Palace or the Fulhams of this world, where they produce outstanding youngsters to sell them on to the Saudis or whoever to reinvest.
Yep.
And if it come a Socceroo, well, Goulburn Valley got 34,000.
Yes,
They're probably going to make that much money in a year.
Kenny,
Exactly. You think that, like, if you think of football as a food chain with the Premier League and Saudi up here, we're down here. We're at the bottom. You need to act accordingly. You need to be that developmental side that you get the money, you reinvest, and you're ready to go again. And you can bring in those talented, experienced players from overseas, like here in Adelaide with an Isaias, who he was away for a couple of years, went to Qatar, but right now he's been 10 years since he joined Adelaide. He's still here running around. These are the people you're going to bring in, people that can give something after they retire, not someone that's going to come here for a coffee and a paycheck and go away after.
And Kenny, you know yourself. You of course you played in New South Wales. You saw players come through. That system was very different at that time, mate. Very different players at that time. You're talking about all the golden generation who came from there. For God's sakes, we stopped developing these players. They're the players we want back again, Kenny. You've seen these guys in the NSL and everything. For God's sakes, what has stopped? We had the guys. We had that development. That's the problem here now.
Yeah, but unfortunately, not unfortunately. I mean, the world's a changing place.
Yes.
You know, it's Australia's not that far away anymore. You know,
right.
So all these teams. I mean, Manchester United's, Man City's, all the big clubs, Real Madrid's. They've got scouts wandering around here. Any exceptional kids here at 15 and 16 are already going. You know, we're not getting them into our system because they're already being spotted. You know, and they're already going overseas. And if they don't make it, eventually they might come back. You know, the Arzanis and a few players like that. But predominantly, you know, the big clubs know that this is a cheap hunting ground for, even if they get one. I mean, I remember Manchester United funded Melita for about 3 seasons. To try and, I mean, they never ended up getting any players at Man U, but there was a few boys, you know, went and ended up playing at Hull and maybe Bradford or whatever. But you know, they invested to try and get that. Obviously, Man City at Melbourne City, they're investing in that on the off chance that they get one. You know, I would suggest to you that at Melbourne City, any of the junior players, any of the really exceptional ones, they're going straight across to Man City. They ain't going through the system at 19 and 20. They're already going across, and you know, Pep's getting them really early into their system overseas. So I get what you're saying. I mean, I look at a team like Brighton in the Premier League, and Southampton used to be like that, where you know they get carnage. All the best players get bought or taken away in 2 transfer windows, but they seem to be able to churn these new players out and still keep a high level of excellence. I think that's what we've got to try and do. We've got to just try and get the conveyor belt churning out a lot more than we're currently doing. And I go back to what I'm saying. That only goes by having kids play more and more.
That's right, games. Exactly, and that's our problem.
Playing games.
Antonis, you being at the NPL games, have you? And of course Tony as well. How many games have you guys counted that they play in the NPLs in South Australia? How many games?
Sorry.
How many games do they play in the NPL in South Australia? The full NPL season, not the finals, just the games themselves.
Or the finals.
Yeah, not the finals, just the NPL games themselves.
Yeah.
How many?
So in the regular season, we've got 22.
22.
Games.
Still not enough, Kenny, is it? No.
It's half a season.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's not enough.
It's 12 clubs in the top in each league.
not enough.
So you have the games with everyone playing each other twice and then finals. And yeah,
If it's back when I was playing, I mean, it was game 23 before my hamstrings were stretching.
Jesus.
And that was a pre-season trial game.
Unbelievable.
This is not bad. And they play about 40 or 50 games in the season in the between the championship and of course 40 or 50 games. I mean, you're talking about the Champions Leagues and the other teams who play in the Champions Leagues and all the other stuff as well.
Friendlies.
Oh my God, man!
You would play. I mean, look. The reality is, and I'll just get back. I think I mentioned in the last show. My nephew. He plays in a normal grassroots club, and they play 42, 43 games.
Jeez.
But what Carlos said is very important. Is facilities. Part of the reason we can't extend the seasons is because the cricket takeover in New South Wales, especially 26th of August. As of next weekend, the cricket's on, and they're on till end of February. So we don't have grounds that we can keep playing on in most cases.
Okay, so let's go. Let me close your eyes, boys. Let's go to England right now and close your eyes. Cricket teams play on cricket grounds. Football teams have their own grounds and play on their grounds. They're not multi-purpose, so they're used all year round for cricket, their own grounds. And, of course, we are talking about the football, all the clubs we're talking about right through the clubs, from right down the bottom of all the divisions, right up to the Premier League. Unbelievable, isn't it? That's what we need here.
Apples and oranges.
What do we do? We've got to go that. We've got to go that. We have to go that way. Full stop. We've got to go that way. Full stop down here.
But to get there with a similar system with separate grounds, it ain't gonna. It's gonna. Look, I don't want to be pessimistic, but to have stadia to play cricket at the highest level, stand alone in this country, ain't going to happen because we have the NIMBY syndrome. We all agree it should happen, but not in my backyard.
I get what you're saying. We need to be. We're a multi-sports nation, and every sport's got a ground, and you've got to share grounds and everything. That's the big problem here. I know for a fact in NPL Victoria, a lot of the teams have got their own grounds. They're separated from the cricket grounds and everything. So that's a plus down here. They could play more games down here in Victoria. They could play more games, and of course, Tony, you've been to, of course, down there at Oakley. You've seen the ground. It's only made for the game. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like most of our junior clubs here, they play out of like rectangular areas, but they're on oval-sized parks. So they are, like it's bloody cricket and all the other sports. And speaking last year to some of the clubs, one club in specific turned away 250 kids. It's going to be more like 500 to 1,000 this year, or next year.
Absolutely.
The amount of people showing interest. So it's how are we going to build? The kids want to play, but we can't even fit them in. So the game's just stagnating all the time.
Can I tell you, when I went down to, and we're going to finish shortly, guys, when I went to Preston Macedonia, Preston Lions, gentlemen, 500 juniors. 500. My God, man. You should see their grounds. You should see their ground there. Unbelievable. And these extra grounds that they've got.
Look, the solution is simple. Then we forget the 11-a-side game.
Here we go.
And we just go 5-a-side throughout and accommodate everyone. And then it becomes a de facto futsal because you're playing in a smaller ground.
Oh, my God.
You have to learn to control the ball better.
I don't know whether any of you guys have noticed, but, Australia, from a landmass area compared to the UK, is astronomically bigger, right?
9 times.
9 times the size.
We have so much.
And we can't reclaim some grounds. Like in the UK and Scotland and Ireland, we've got a place in Scotland called Glasgow Green. And you go there and they're all weather pitches now. They used to be ash. So what they do is, there's about 30 pitches there. So 30 clubs can play there. They don't have to have one ground to one club. They can multi-use them. Now, why we can't reclaim some land somewhere and do that is beyond me. I mean, it doesn't build some changing rooms, some basic showers, do an all-weather pitch or, ash or whatever you want to do, and goalposts, and the clubs bring their own nets.
And this is exactly what I spoke to you earlier, Antonis, about too, the Kilburn Reserve, the Kilburn Sportsplex of South Australia, of course, there for West Adelaide. That's their own ground. There's nothing else that's going to be played there but the game itself. Is that right?
Yeah, and we do have a bit of that here in South Australia, like Croydon FC's new facility as well, similar. The State Centre, similar. But yeah, it's just about, I guess, capitalising on it and continuing to grow and pushing for this stuff, showing, like we've had an actual thing that we can point at in this country, the World Cup, saying, look, people care about this. People want these. These are the stats. You need to fund this. And again, in South Australia, I feel like we are a lot more blessed than other parts of the country. But we need to push as a country for our code.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the government are giving us 250 million,
yes,
give it straight. Yeah, give every dollar of it to grassroots.
Exactly.
Every single dollar of it.
Exactly, Kenny.
Nothing goes anywhere else. Give it to that. Get us some more grounds. Allow these kids to start playing. Like what Carlos says and what Tony says. If 500 kids are going to miss out playing because we can't get any grounds or enough grounds to be able to accommodate them, let's invest in grassroots. Let's fund from the top down, not the bottom up.
And this is what I don't understand. Last week, our Prime Minister Albanese stated, was it $200 million? Was it 200 million? Or he's going to put 200 million to put into to women's sports. Hang on for a sec, mate. Hang on for a sec about this. Why would he put it into every game? How much will our game get? And this is what I can't understand. The Matilda started all this, and they should be getting the majority of that money through the game. It's all exactly, Kenny. This is ridiculous. He's saying he wants to give money to everybody. Come on, mate. Who started this?
Like when we've got the Olympics here and whenever it is, and we have like a very great swimming season, is football going to get money from that? We're not going to see a cent from that.
Hang on for a sec. We play in that. We play in that competition too. We qualify to play in the games there too.
Again, there's no girl that watched the Matildas play and said, you know what, I want to go play cricket now. You know, this is football. We are struggling for this. There are girls that don't have changing rooms. There are girls changing in the back of their cars.
I know.
And they are leaving the game because they don't feel like they belong. It's not safe. It's not built for them. And so we are struggling here. We need this.
And this is why he wants to give it to all the sports? Come on, mate. This is ridiculous. We know which sports have got money.
Can I just make a quick point? Your shows are turning into Bruce Springsteen concerts. We're nearly 10 o'clock.
Yes. Sorry, guys. I know, Carlos. We could go on forever for this, guys. I can understand that too.
This is way past my bedtime.
Carl, I'm sorry, but we had a very good debate, a very great debate tonight. And of course, Antonis, thank you for coming on, mate. Fantastic. This stuff, a lot of people will be sharing. Can you share this show yourself for people to see this situation here where we're not getting enough money for the game, and what the Matildas did for us was amazing, and still we don't get to hear things happening for the A League as well. But Carlos, thank you for joining me tonight, sir, and of course Tony. Always from South Australia, two South Australian gentlemen here, Antonis. And of course, thank you, Antonis, coming on. Next week, we've got some news about the second division, gentlemen. Oh boy, it's going to be hotting up next week. Thank you for joining me, guys. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Antonis. See you guys next week sometime. Thanks, boys. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Oh, football, this is a wild night tonight, guys. A very wild debate tonight about the game and everything. And of course, 200 million. The bloody game deserves to have the bloody thing for the girls and the boys. Thanks, guys. Thank you, gentlemen. See you next week, Monday night, guys. And of course, 8:30 p.m. Football West. It's our way, the highway, all the time. Thank you, guys. Check it out. Feel it. The cup of life. This is the one. Now is it done? Don't ever stop. We should have known. Gotta be strong. We should have knelt. Not from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet. No one can hold you back if you really want it, we do. I see it in your eyes, you want the cup. Roger, how are you, mate? Nowadays, here you're gonna get it. Do you really want it? It's our way, the highway, gentlemen. See you next week. Good night, guys. Football is live next Monday. Hi guys, Harry Sunday here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called thereisonlyonefootball.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone. All that sporting stuff you can wear anywhere you want to wear it, guys. That's right. And don't forget the website it's on, thereisonlyonefootball.com.
There is only one football.
Feel it. Here we go, guys. Check it out. If you're listening right now, I've got some great news for you guys. Some people won't be happy. Some people will be happy. Some people won't be happy. You got your opinions. That's fine. Here we go. Check it out. Hey, the cup of life. This is the one. Now is the time. Don't ever stop. We should've known. Gotta be strong. We should've known right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet. No one can hold you back if you really want it. Here we go. I see it in your eyes. You want the cup of life. Not the days here, you're gonna get it. Do you really want it? Tell me right now, people. Here we go. Ale, ale, ale. Go, go, go. Ale, ale, ale. Tonight's the night. We're gonna celebrate. Here we go. We are the people. We are the passion. We are the history. We come from the NSL, and that's where the NSL is right now, guys. We're going to be back in the NSL very shortly, guys. Thank you, guys. Right now, I just thought I'd come online. If you listen to me right now, guys, I thought I'd come online because I got some great news today, and a lot of people aren't going to be happy, of course. I'm just going to make sure a couple of people get on right now. As you can see, we have a brand new system here. It's looking fantastic. You may be seeing on my left-hand side, on my right-hand side, I think it is, FA opens expressions of interest for a national football second tier. As far as I'm concerned, it is an NSL. It's an NSL. As you can see, these clubs, these boys on the front here, they're former NSL clubs, guys. Of course, you can see one of the South Melbourne captains there, of course. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm just going to make sure that I get this message out today so everyone can listen to what's happening. And we are putting our hands up. Yes, footballers are putting their hands up to get involved in the NSL, or the second tier, if you want to call it that, guys. We want to be involved. We are talking to people about this, and hopefully it's going to be an amazing journey through the NSL, guys, or well, second tier, if you want to call it as well. So let me just get onto the other site there to actually post some stuff so people can actually listen to this as well. I'd like to read a few little things from the excerpt on the news as well, guys. So as you can see, our sponsors, CCD Lawyers, and There Is Only One Football. Don't forget, guys, as you can see, my left-hand side, right-hand side, these are fantastic shirts that were worn by the NSL clubs. We're hoping that they wear them in the second division. It's the second coming. As far as I'm concerned, as the NSL, you can scream as much as you like, guys, but they're the clubs that made the game. They're the clubs that actually were the foundation clubs of the first competition, national competition in this country, and that's what we're looking for right now. So if you clubs are looking at these shirts, There Is Only One Football, the Of course, there is only one football.com on the bottom there, guys. If you want to get on there and you want to talk to someone about getting these shirts as supporters for your second division or the second NSL coming of the NSL, they're available now, guys. There's only one football. That's where they're available. I'm just going right now to the former supporter sites to put this information up as well. We've got the information up. So if you're listening right now, please check out these shirts. You can buy them online. There is only one football, guys. Have a look at these amazing shirts, guys. You will not find this quality anywhere. So get on. There's only one football, guys. So I'm just getting onto our